to be elected to the United States Senate. The one thing that dominated his presidency was the beginning of the Great Depression. And what started the Depression was the stock market crash of 1929. On October 29th, 16.4 million shares of stock sold at a very low price, what resulted in the stock market kind of plunged. Banks began to demand that people pay back the money that they had borrowed when they bought stocks on margin. Well, they couldn't pay them back, and they didn't have the money to pay them back because they were playing that whole margin game by borrowing money, buying stock, selling stock. Well, now the banks wanted their money back and demanded that people pay the money back that they had borrowed. They couldn't pay it. So banks began to run short of money. Frightened people began to run to the bank to withdraw their savings. Banks did not have the money. Many banks just closed. By March 1933, 9,000 banks went out of business. Remember, people didn't have the money. Businesses could not sell their merchandise now because people didn't have the money to go into stores, go into restaurants. Thousands of businesses went bankrupt. Lots of employees lost their jobs. To survive, just to survive, those surviving businesses had to lay off workers, and unemployment went up to 25% by 1933. Consumers, or people who were buying stuff, were actually few and far between. Therefore, businesses could not sell merchandise. More businesses closed. More people were out of work. People were unable to pay their mortgages. Thousands of homes were lost. Millions went hungry. The Great Depression begins. Well, now, Herbert Hoover, his response. Hoover believed that government interference would hurt the economy. Oh, he tried cutting the federal budget and raising taxes, but that plan failed miserably. His idea of rugged individualism, it was a belief that Americans could get through this tough period by themselves without the help of government. He encouraged the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and even churches to meet the needs of starving people and homeless people. He did not feel that it was his responsibility or government's responsibility to bail out the economy, to help the workers who had lost their jobs or their homes. He didn't feel it was government's job at all. Well, in protest, people began the policy of turning their pockets inside out. They would just turn them inside out, and they would walk down the streets with both pockets out in a demonstration, and those were called Hoover flags, showing everybody that they didn't have any money. There were Hoover blankets. A Hoover blanket was newspaper that people would wrap themselves up in at night on a park bench or in a Hooverville, or these cardboard shanty towns that people lived in when they lost their house. This truly was a horrible time. Well, when the economy is bad, 9 times out of 10, the president is not going to be reelected. And Hoover was not reelected. He really didn't do much to try to help. He just thought that things could take care of themselves. But the problem was too big. He did too little, and what he did do was too late. This was the presidency of Herbert Hoover, our 31st president.